Hey everybody, it's Bust with Busted Strategies number 35, jumping into another Midnight Hunt draft. Let's get to it. So, I've had a brutal day in terms of Magic the Gathering. I had a green-white humans deck, had all these ridiculous white uncommons, opened a Sigarda in the second pack, just a ridiculous set of lost games. The mana issues abound, getting stalled on two, keeping four landers and drawing multiple lands. Lots of trash. And then, so I got into another one, had this delightful Boros deck. Got to do this thing to where just like wheeling the 3/3 with haste and wheeling Sacred Fires and had three Moonrager slashes. The second and third loss, just both two mana, same color, end of the game. I had to discard a card. This is the first game I believe I've played in recent memory where I actually had to discard a card for having 8 cards in hand. It's just completely savage. But nonetheless, we're back to it here. Maybe we'll make a video without too much salt in it. We're going to take the Graveyard Trespasser. This card is ultimately super powerful. This is like one of my sleeper cards in the set. It doesn't seem that spectacular at first glance, but this combination of having Ward to discard a card, taking cards out of your opponent's graveyard, getting some drains in, all pretty powerful. We looked to perhaps wheel something like Crawl from the Cellar out here. And then we also need to note there's a Grizzly Ghoul in this pack. So I don't think we ever wheel Seize the Storm, but if, we had to keep in the back of our heads that maybe some green-black happens here, especially since there was like a Shadow Beast sighting in that pack. Okay, so where do we see ourselves with this one? I've been less and less impressed with Covert Cut Purse. I'm not really interested in taking this. But let's see what else we have here. I mean, I'm looking towards the Lunar Frenzy. I'm not super amped about Black Red, but I kind of have this feeling on the format these days as to where Esper is just way overdrafted, and so you're really looking to pick one Esper color and then pair it in with red or green. And I'm reasonably happy with Black Red, and Lunar Frenzy is just incredibly powerful. So we don't have to do it. We can still look to play Esper stuff, but I don't really want to be second picking a Crawl from the Cellar or second picking a Bat Whisper. These cards are just too low value. But I think the Lunar Frenzy is probably also just better than Sunrise Cavalier. So I'm gonna snatch up the Frenzy and see where this takes us. So, okay, yeah, I mean, we started with the black card. There's been no real reasonable black cards here. We did make note that there is that Grizzly Ghoul in the first pack, so there is a card like Rise of the Ants here. I'm just not super impressed with Rise of the Ants in this format either. And so the one I'm actually looking towards here is the Festival Crasher. Plays not super excitingly in black-red, but a lot of real build around decks in red here. And then it's what white cards are we missing here? It's just a Sun Gold Barrage. I don't like it. Cathars I don't like. Morning Patrol's okay-ish. And then we haven't seen any blue up to this point, but the Overwhelmed Archivist is a reasonable play. I think I'm safe enough just picking in on the Festival Crasher here. Okay, a bit of payoff in the Eaten Alive, really high-valued removal spell. Yeah, there's some, reasonable green rolling through here, but reasonable blue as well in the Covetous Castaway. It just doesn't feel like the blue-black cards are quite here for us. Okay. Are we ready to dive in? Do we want to just go all in on our boy Festival Crasher here? I really love this card. This is incredibly powerful. Just wins tons and tons of games you don't have any business winning. But we also have a Borrowed Time here. I think I'm ready to do it. I mean, we have the one card to give it trample already, then we just need to find some stolen identities. The only problem with the Festival Crasher and Black Red is there's not a ton of cards that let you double up. There's not a lot of flashback cards. You're kind of looking towards something like Rotten Reunion as your card to double up on, and that's not something to get super excited about. You'd be rather doubling up on Homestead Courages or something. But I think we're ready to go. We're ready to dive on in. And these cards all suck. That's unfortunate. I'm going to take the Harvest-Tide Sentry. If that's Grizzly Ghoul wheels, maybe we do find ourselves in green-black, but I think he's the only real playable there. Okay, well, if we're trying to be aggressive, the Vampire Interloper certainly is one of the more aggressive early game plays. Works for me. And here we go. Here we go. So, the green cards, not really interested in. There's Rotten Reunion, but we shouldn't have too much trouble finding Rotten Reunions. And then there's the Pax Betrayal, which I want to have like one copy of either Pax Betrayal or the Abandon the Post and the Festival Crasher deck. I'd rather just have Abandon the Post. I'm going to go with the Rotten Reunion for now. And hopefully we can find a Abandon the Post later. Stolen Vitality is a must take with the Crashers. Very easy take. We don't want Seize the Storm in this deck. Not playing enough spells for it to really pop off. Okay. Bat Whisperer, reasonable enough here. We didn't table the green-black guy. I'm pretty confident that we're just... we're going to be in black-red with this one. Get loaded up on our candle guides. Harvest-Tide Sentry can come out. Yeah, I mean, not a bad start. Not a bad start. Let's get these organized real quick. Stuffed Bear. Can't imagine we want to play you, but we'll see. We'll give it a wait and see. Yeah, not bad. I don't want to play Candle Guides here. I'd rather play Bat Whisperers, but it's a curve filler if we need it. Happy to play all of these spells. Looking good. Right, and then Lisa shows up. Oh man, this is ultimately pretty powerful. I mean, so this is the world we live in, huh? We've taken no white cards up to this point. Then Lisa shows up. I don't think we can do it. We just come down here and take the Moonrager Slash. I'm happy enough to be in black red with this collection of cards that we've assembled. We could, perhaps wheel Ghoulish Procession or No Way Out. I wouldn't be surprised for us to wheel either of these red cards. I think this is fine. Just to get a pour one out for our fallen homies, having to pass cards as strong as Lisa. Okay, and so interesting set here. The ones that I'm really looking at are Eaten Alive and Olivia's Midnight Ambush. This isn't a Digraph Horde style deck. I don't really want Digraph Hordes. And so we already have one Eaten Alive. We don't have tons of ways to generate the zombie tokens. And this is also a little bit slow. And so we have kind of like two choices. Do we want to like focus more heavily on generating zombies, or do we want to just take like the more tempo-y play in the Midnight Ambush? And at this stage, I think I'm okay with just like trying to generate the zombies. I do want to have cards like Midnight Ambush in our deck, but I think it's not unreasonable to think that we might get like another Moonrager Slash, or we might get a Shock Scry, whatever that thing's called, and just be kind of like stacked up on that middling removal where we want the stuff that just guarantees deals with the big boys as we get another Moonrager Slash here. Neonite's Rush could ideally table. This is something that plays nicely with the Festival Crashers. We'll just have to kind of wait and see. Okay, Thermo-Alchemist, quite good in these decks. It just gives us a lot of reach. These things tend to come down and then just deal like 5 or 6 damage to the opponent. Quite good. Also works with all of the vampire themes. So if we have a Stormkirk Blood Thief where it wants you to deal damage to your opponent, kind of guarantees that we have a way to deal damage to him. Okay, well, Harvest-Tide Infiltrator, not super exciting, but he does have Trample, so we can add that one to our stack. And I'm pretty on board with Ardent Elementalist here. It's not like ultimately super strong, but we have a lot of high quality spells that we can look to return. And we've been passing some Famished Foragers early. There's a decent chance one of these just shows up. Perforator, perfect. Do want to stack up some of these early vampires because we probably will end up with some Neonates Rushes. Here, I really like the Brimstone Vandal. The Menace makes it kind of challenging to block in the early game. Pretty good little bro. Perforator, excellent. We are passing on something like No Way Out. We do need to pick up some zombie generation, right? We mentioned that a bit when we picked up the second Eaten Alive, but if we're gonna, the 2-drops are so important, and then if we pick up like Neonates Rushes and such, it really helps cheapen them up. Wield a Foragers, not too surprised. Wield another one, makes me feel extra good about playing that, taking that Elementalist. Okay, and then I don't want to play Pax Betrayal, but I also don't want to go through at the end of the day without having one of these things that messes with our opponent's blocks. So I'm going to pick it up, I'm going to add it to the don't really want to play pile, but we haven't seen any... Um, we haven't seen any abandon the posts, and so at the end of the day, if we have to play Pax Betrayal, I'm okay with it. All right, well, I'd love to have Vengeful Strangler in this style of deck, but Play with Fire is just too on point with what we're trying to do, and it's never going to wheel. So add in that cheap burn spell. Oh, Lunar Frenzy number 2, huh? These are just incredibly powerful. Even if it's like in the early game and we play it to just win a combat for first strike, it's good. And then it's good in the late game when we give something like +5 attack and overwhelm through our opponents. Trample through our opponents. It took me so long to get like trample out of my vernacular, and now I just got to add it right back in. Cruising right along, Moonrager slash number 3. Looking good there. And then here's our abandon the post. I think, what's our 2-drops? We're only at, this is tough. We're at 6. How many? Let's see, go to big view. It's easier to see. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to get 3 cards back out of this one. Like, the thing I'm kind of looking to do is take Shady Traveler and then see if we wheel either the Perforator or the Abandon the Post. I think I'm willing to just greed it up like this here. The red is clearly open. We're getting a bunch of Moonrager slashes and stuff. Let's do it. Stolen Vitality. We're probably not going to play all of these, but I don't want to play a second Rotten Reunion. Okay, so we got a Perforator. We haven't picked up any, like, zombie generation, but it's like, I'd rather just have the dudes at this point, I think. At 6, I'd like to get up to, like, 8 2-drops at this point. Alright, Perforators. Ooh, Festival Crashers showing back up. Alright. Alright, well, our 2-drops are covered at this point. That got us up to 8. Brimstone Vandal is good. I'm not looking to play all of these 4s, and I'm not going to play 2 Elementalists, but I will play multiple Brimstone Vandals. Okay, this is coming together. This is coming together. I don't know how much people draft black red out there, but I like what we're assembling here today. Shady Traveler, okay. Part of Team Menace. We're not playing this. Can't remember where the Perforator pack was. I think it would be this one with 4 cards left in it. No Perforator or Abandon the Post. I think it was that one. Maybe it's this next one. I had just completely missed out. There's the Abandon the Post. Thank you. Alright, not a bad collection of cards we've assembled here. This should be a pretty easy deck assembly here. And so, there's a few things I consider with here. I've been like, the kind of consensus is people just play 16 land in these formats, and I don't know if it's just I like super low rolled today, but it's like I'm really wanting to just like start playing 17 land again. But I mean, this isn't a deck to where we really need to stack up with a bunch of mana because we don't have a lot of late game plays. We're also pretty heavily in red, and so I could see this being something where we play like 9 mountains and 7 swamps because it's not the end of the world if we don't draw a swamp early. So I think that's okay. We'll try it with 16 here today. We'll see how super salty we can get with this. We switch to this view. Eaten Alive, we probably need to put you out an expensive land because we don't have a lot of sacrificable cards. Gonna want to take out one of these combat tricks, I think. Curious if I kind of feel like we have to hang on to Rotten Reunion. This is our single way to double up on spells for the Crasher, while also giving us a sacrifice thing for Eaten Alive. How many units do we have? 18? Right, so the ones I'm looking to remove, I want to take the Sentry out first. I like that both the Vandal and the Traveler have Menace. Probably look to cut one more of these out as well. If we're going to cut one out, I think we probably cut out the Shady Traveler. We need to take out some of these expensive bros. We make some pretty big combos with the Famished Foragers. Let's drop out The big flyer leaves us with 15 creatures, and we got to make 3 more cuts. So, I mean, the Stolen Vitality can go. That leaves us with 3 combat tricks. Do we ever cut an Eaten Alive? I think that's okay. It's a little expensive, and we don't have the things to sacrifice to it. Then our Rot Reunion is the last one. I don't want to play 14 creatures. I think it's too important to have all of them, especially when like Thermo-Alchemist doesn't attack. Oh, I think we're going to have to count on Abandon the Post to be our doubled up spell here. All the burn, all the slashes need to stay. One Eaten Alive, sure. If we think of Eaten Alive as a 5-mana spell instead of a 1, then I don't feel too bad about having only 1 copy instead of 2. I think this is okay. It's good to see. It's like I'm really tempted just to take out the Eaten Alive and bring that Rotten Reunion back in. I don't think we can do that, but it's tempting. Alrighty, well, I think this is good. We're ready to go. Alrighty, well, let's do it. My love of Festival Crashers coming together here. And so, I don't know if y'all are tired of seeing the Festival Crashers. I really wish I could have got the Boros video from earlier together, because it's like, I had a lot of the makings of being the Festival Crashers deck, but it's kind of like, what do you do if they don't show up? It's like we had the Stolen Vitalities, we had the Burn, we had the Homestead Courages, but we just didn't have any Festival Crashers, and it was a really interesting draft and everything. It was just so soul crushing to me to have like back-to-back games where you just couldn't actually do anything. And so I wasn't happy with the amount of salt that I was spewing, and I just had to kind of put it away. Alrighty, let's see what we can do here. Not a bad start. It's the complete shutdown to our board with the Covetous Castaway. Mask of Gristlebrand, oh my. I'm not going to play any of the spells here. Just kind of curious to see if he wants to block. And then we can get the Perforators down. We can potentially make a big play next turn with the Foragers and the Moonrager slashes and stuff. I can't imagine he wants to like equip the mask. It's going to be such a monster tempo play if he puts the mask on. Alright. Got blue mana back, so there is a world where he's able to bounce our Festival Crasher, like if he specifically has the Unsummon card. But I'm not gonna worry about it. I'm gonna go all in here and looking to play with Fireface. Let's see once we get past blockers if he spends any mana. No, I think that auto passed. Okay. So he's going to get to block our Festival Crashers. Not a lot we can do about it, but we do get to add 2 units to the board after he gets his block. Well then. We can take him to 1 and add Perforator. So he must answer the Perforator, he'll just kill on attack. It's highlighting that Mask of Gristlebrand, but that's not, well, I guess he could attack now. He could equip attack now, go up to 4. Uh-oh. Is he gonna removal spell us? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Interesting. And we're lethal on board. He has to have another unit or something. Okay. One of the things I didn't mention earlier is like I do really like the Vandals in the sense they have menace. They're kind of tough to block, but they also are a means to turn it to night. So if we want to get the midnight lightning bolts on the cheap, the Vandals the way that we're able to do it. Stop highlighting my units like you're like you're gonna play a removal spell. I do not appreciate that nonsense. Alright, let's see if this is enough. Clearly has a spell. I would assume it's something like Revenge of the Drowned. Excellent. He did it pre-combat. So are we lethal here with the Stolen Vitality? Gonna be one short. Let's go ahead and take down his blocker. Oh man, I thought we were going to easily outrace the mask since we got that tempo going, but or crit behemoth. Okay. If we don't win the game on this next turn, then we're dead. If he's able to put the mask on the behemoth and gain 7, we're not coming back from this. F. All right, well maybe he'll do something dumb. that's our next option. We're gonna be 1 damage short. We can go to night, but then the Vandal's not going to do enough damage. I mean, maybe that was the play. We should have just gone to night on the last turn, held on to the Moonrager slash, or held on to the Stolen Vitality, and then tried to kill him this turn. Maybe that was the way to do it. Yep, we're not dealing 10 damage. I mean, we can't give up on it. We still have the lunar ambush or whatever it's called, but I don't think it's going to be enough here. It's only dealing 4 damage at this point. Yeah, you had lethal. F. I think that was our mistake. We should have held back. Well, the Stolen Vitality did let us get the larger zombie off of the board, though. Exile 1 card from a graveyard. Oh man, that would have been our way to get a point of damage in. F. Okay. So close. I just assumed that was done as soon as he put that Mask of Gristlebrand onto his 1/3, like spending the 6 mana on that. Such a huge sink of mana. 1 short. So that's always my concern with these like really aggressive decks like this when we get them to 1 or get them to 2 and lose the game. I feel like we probably did something wrong. So I don't know. I mean, in that game we could have just attacked with the Brimstone Vandal left the Festival Crashers at home. I mean, the Festival Crasher can still attack. He's just going to block it. But get in for 2, then deal damage with the day to night flip. I still feel like that's where we kind of missed out on it. But that does leave his unit on the board, so it could potentially block in a future turn. But the Stolen Vitality, it just hit for like regular damage there. It might have been enough on the next turn to chunk in the rest of the damage. We'll keep this. Reasonable enough curve. We're on the draw, so if we pick up 1 land, we're looking okay. Opponent mulliganed as well. What you got, Pone Cake? Yeah, Neonates rush me. Alright, I don't feel the need to be too aggressive here. I'm just going to add the Brimstone Vandal and play this kind of slow. Right, we would have the option to say Moonrager slash the Traveler and get an attack in that way, but we got a lot of potential on our next turn. With these Famished Foragers coming in for infinite mana plays. It's night or day. Okay, it becomes day. With the day or night flips, you can pay a red. If you do, return it from your graveyard to the battlefield. Okay. Well, not quite willing to make a trade. We'll do the same thing that we just did. We have Menace, so we can't block. We'll play the Famished Forager. Get our Moonrager slash mana. Rager slash here. Now we're good to just start slamming in on this board. I'm looking to just like abandon the post whatever he plays, attack, and then if we end up in a space to where you know, the board just stalls and we have this Elementalist to potentially bring back a Moonrager slash. Okay. Got him. Alright, yeah, I mentioned I wanted to avoid the salt from the games earlier. The thing that we should all be salty about, this affects everyone. You want to hear me talk about fantasy football. So I play in this league with a point per completion on the quarterback, and they also get 6-point passing touchdowns instead of 4. Quarterbacks score insane amounts of points in this league. And so the quarterback like selection tends to be what you would see in like a super flex league or a 2-quarterback league, to where the waiver wire is full of just like the dregs of quarterbacks. And so my quarterback for the season has been Russell Wilson. He is the kind of like the worst of the good ones, and I'm completely fine with that. And then for whatever reason, somebody dropped Matt Ryan, which was a godsend for my team with Russell Wilson being out for the next like 2 or 3 weeks, maybe even 4 or 5 weeks. And so this left me for this 1 week to where I'm stuck with no like real quarterback until Matt Ryan's back. And so the choices are Jared Goff. The choices are Carson Wentz, Tua, the 49ers quarterback, and the Bears quarterback. Just a load of garbage. Here, we got to mulligan this. I see the Alchemist and we can play it, but it's not quite good enough. Sure. Can't go to 5. There's just, I think it's impossible to win a game at 5 in this format. But, so I went with Jared Goff. Jared Goff threw 50 passes 1 game this season, and then he also played against the Bengals. Jared Goff put up 20 points, which is, you know, if you're used to playing standard, 20 points doesn't sound that bad. But I played against the Bills quarterback who put up 51 points this week. So as you can imagine, a 30-point difference is a little challenging to overcome in the lands of fantasy football. And I ended up losing by .017 points. It was absolutely soul crushing to have like my potential shittiest week, the Jared Goff week. He was in the negative for a large part of the day. To just go down like that. Like, oh no, what a horrible life to live. But alrighty, back to the game here, back to the action. I'm curious if opponent is just kind of like mana strapped here, or if we're just going to get popped by a defense trait. Either way, we're kind of fine. Defense trait it is. Don't have an answer to this Stalking Predator just yet, but we can hopefully pop off on it here soon. We've got to take the 4. Okay. Might have recovered. Opponent has a ton of cards in hand, but if they can't play anything, we might be okay. And does nothing to write home about it, so this game is still very losable. Looks like he's looking at his graveyard like he has a Raise Dead. Like if he wants to Raise Dead Jadar, that kind of sucks. But if we can pick up like 1 unit, we have some potential to win the game with Abandon the Post. Well, we picked up a unit, he just doesn't happen to be an attacker. Okay, opponent finds their planes. Brings the old party captain to the table. Okay. Can't block. Still a little awkward without a second unit for our Abandon the Post, but I'm pretty sure we're okay here as long as we don't run into like some weird lifelink unit. Like if he's able to flip like a Gavany Townfolk's not the right word, but the 1/1 for 2 that draws a land and flips, that would be a problem. But I mean, we've got tons of damage in hand here. The thing we need to watch for is we're looking to chain off all of these Moonrager slashes, and if it flips to daytime, we're going to have a bit of trouble getting our all of our spells off. I think we're still okay here. You can't block. You didn't need to be able to not block. Because our dude has Menace, but we should just be playing this spell and getting in this Alchemist damage. We should just end the game this turn. The only thing we have to worry about here, I believe, is if he has that thing that gives a unit 2/0 and lifelink, but we can kill with that on the stack. We have enough Alchemist activations here to do it. Okay. Burn him. We also had a point of damage coming from the Brimstone Vandal from the day flip, and then we had more burns for the next turn. We could have got him for another 5 or 6 damage there. Cool. That makes me feel good. Makes up for my mana issues and my Jared Goffs of the day. Right. Alrighty, next battle. So yeah, exciting things in the world to talk about. I haven't had a chance to look at the new Runeterra patch, the patch notes. I think that should be out about now. Well, it'll be out definitely now by the time this video is out here. It's not out now at the time I'm recording this video. But maybe there'll be something interesting there. It's supposed to be a pretty big shakeup. I think it's a big shakeup in terms of like balance, though. They're supposed to be reworking a bunch of cards, not so much in terms of like game features and everything. But we'll see. I'll give it a look. It's ultimately a little sad that they seem to be taking Lab of Legends out of the game. But here, we'll just go with the Thermo-Alchemist. It's a very real chance that if we add either Festival Crasher or Falconraft Perforator to the board, they just don't get to attack. And then we also have this option to where we can play Brimstone Vandal next turn and then use the Vandal to add our Foragers to the board. So I think this is reasonable enough here. Just start zapping them. But yeah, it's like it's weird. It's like always my my most popular content for Runeterra. We did the daily stuff with the expedition videos, so that kind of drives down the averages. But the Lab of Legends stuff, I like slightly considered just switching over to main into Lab of Legends, but I didn't actually do it because I like to play against people. There's no competitive Lab of Legends unless you want to try and speedrun or something. And now they're just like completely taking it away. It was like I was pretty glad that I didn't try to base like any large portion of my content on that. It's just going to be something completely disappearing. But I guess that's also what I expect to happen to Expedition. So, is what it is in that sense. But here, I don't get what they're doing. If he has a Flash Wolf, like the Bounding Wolf, the 3/2 Wolf, I'm okay to just trade the Brimstone Vandal for it here. We already got our damage into face this turn, so we can still just play Famished Foragers and then follow up with the Brimstone Vandal, but I don't get what they're doing. If this was supposed to be like a Moonrager slash, or if they're just playing like green-white with a splash of red, but they don't have their planes, like if that's the case, why didn't you sacrifice your clue last turn? Moonrager slash makes kind of sense. And they just have a hand completely full of red spells, would be my guess. Okay. Ping, ping. Yeah. I like them damages to face. Who even needs to attack, right? We got the Vandals, we got the Alchemist. Attacking's for losers. Mentor, sure. Some big old damages coming in there, that's for certain. Alright, so we need to get this tracker off of the board. So I'm gonna play the Perforator. I'm gonna sacrifice it to the Eaten Alive, and then we'll be back to having a good attack. Oh, target. We want to target this thing. Sacrifice the Perforator. So he gets one block here. He'll lose a token if that's the way he wants to go about it. Yeah, we're pretty close to that lethal thing everybody's talking about. That's aggressive. So what do we do here? Like, we get to... I think this is a turn where we just don't play any cards, right? We're gonna... Well, are we lethal? Otherwise? Yeah, we're just lethal. You can only block one. You can Lunar Frenzy Sure, we can Lunar Frenzy here for 4. Auto tap, sure. Give me that solution. We got him. Burn it. Nice. Nice. Alrighty, next battle. Yeah, speaking of patch notes, there's the if you're a storybook brawler, the new patch was released. It was last night for me. It would be 2 nights ago, from whenever this video comes out. Kind of like what they're doing there. I like the way that I can't decide which I like more. I like the way that Riot handles teamfight tactics in the sense that they have a season, or I guess they call it a set, where you have this particular collection of champions and abilities and themes going on with it, and then when the next set comes around, there's still a bit of overlap, right? They're using a lot of the same champions between the sets, and so you might have a set 3 and then a set 4, but Zed is in both of them. But thematically, he might be using a different ability, or in one he might be an assassin, and in another one he has a different kind of style to it. I thought it's pretty neat that the way that they pull that off. And then with kind of the with Storybook Brawl, I could see them doing kind of a similar thing. It doesn't seem like they're going to have sets, but it seems like they might have kind of like a rotating cast of I don't know what you call it in that. We'll call them champions, but a rotating cast of like champions and cards and treasures and stuff. I'd like to see what they do with that. But we'll see. I mean, that brings me back to Magic. It all goes full circle. It's like I love that I'd kind of like to see if they would just do digital only cards in Magic. I think they did. I think they did it with Jumpstart. I think that's like the big limiting thing in Magic now is there's just like not the design space for it to where in Runeterra we have a card like Bandle Commando that generates a card whenever it deals damage to a player, but and Magic are really limited to those cards just generating tokens, whereas you can't really generate a card to your hand that you can then shuffle into your library. Like those kind of things just don't exist in Magic, and so I think it would be kind of interesting. I don't know if they made a digital only Magic version too, with no land in it, and and the ability for generated cards and erratas without ruining everything. I think that would be neat, but nonetheless, not sure what's going on here. We might have to cancel and relog. I think I ran into this yesterday or something as to where the timer seemed like it was just going on forever, but I just needed to relog or something. I don't know. We'll give it a shot, I guess. Let's see. All right, there we go. We're trying that again. Let's see how long this takes. No poor robots today. Curious. They're not gonna have to. See, there we go. 10 seconds. I don't know. I never see that timer go up to like 2 minutes, and it seems like I just have to go and restart the game. I don't know if that is anecdotal or not, but it seems to be working for me. All right, this is a reasonable enough keep. Wish we had a little bit of interaction, but of all things we can complain about, I don't think we can complain about reasonable mix of units and spells in the land to cast. Or no spells, but the units and then the land to cast them with. All right, so who's our play here? Do we want to go with the Festival Crasher or the Alchemist? I mean, the Alchemist seems like the guaranteed damage that we're going to be able to get here. Opponent's not doing too much aggressive, and I wouldn't be surprised if they just dropped like a Cathar Commando on us. And so I think if they're having the Cathar Commando line, we're going to look a lot better with this Alchemist. But otherwise, we would prefer to have the Festival Crasher. He's going to come out here and aggro us real good. All right, well, let's get our good boys on board. Excuse me, get our good boys on board. His line of play really kind of reeked of a Flare of Faith. I wish we had a way to deal with it. He does have, the free attack of the Veteran into the Thermo-Alchemist. I guess it'll be like really telling this turn as opposed to last turn. Okay, so he probably doesn't actually have it. Playing the Esper with the Scab Wrangler. Okay. So, how do we feel about trading the Graveyard Trespasser for both the Wrangler and the Veteran? I'm okay with that. We're quickly falling behind here, and we have to take advantage of this board. And this this Wrangler would be a nice takedown. I was like, I don't think we're gonna get it, but if we do get the damage in here, and we get to double up on the Foragers and a Festival Crasher, it gives us a good opportunity to recover here. Okay. I was like, oh man, not a Geist Wave. Geist Wave would have been a bit of a pain, but Startle is fine. That makes me feel decent. I wonder if they're just looking to pick up a pick up the likes of a land for a Digraph Horde, or why they specifically wanted to cycle there. I guess all of our units are bigger than anything that he would be able to put forth, but interesting. Okay. We don't have real good attacks into this Organ Hoarder, but we gotta start doing something. So I think we're just gonna have to offer up the trade. So before the next turn rolls around and we have the opportunity to think about it, I'm attacking with the Festival Crasher as well. I'm going to attack with all three. I want it to appear as though we have the trick and we're just kind of asking for the block, as though we don't care that we're going to lose our Festival Crashers. And so I think that's going to be relatively safe. He did put a card in his graveyard we can pop with the Trespasser, but... Oh, we pick up Play with Fire. Well, that's a juicy target. I think we need to pop the Organ Hoarder here, but do we want to wait until we get into combat? He has multiple good blocks, which is kind of sucky. Well, they aren't good blocks, but he's able to put dudes in front of our dudes and prevent a big load of damage from coming in. But I think realistically, what's going to happen is he's going to Scab Wrangle our Foragers. Well, he's probably going to our Foragers. Let's see. We can move into combat first. He's already making those highlights. So the Wrangler onto the Foragers. Okay. I think we have to play with fire here. Target the Organ Hoarder. Use our Alchemist. Get our two attackers in. Remove this thing, the thing that he can potentially cast. I would not be surprised to see a Lunarch Veteran block. Nope. Wants to keep gaining the health. And let's just go with the Shady Traveler here. It's able to come in and block one of these zombies if he gets really aggressive on his attacks next turn. And then, assuming we draw a land or something, we can still double up on spells next turn if we play the Elementalist plus Play with Fire. I don't really want to have to put an Ardent Elementalist in front of one of these zombie tokens. Okay. Discards, he doesn't have the mana for the Loyal Gryph, I guess. Soul Gryph Guide, whatever this is. Bring in squad. Okay, that's positive. Alright, so the unfortunate thing with this turn, I think we need to pick up the Play with Fire before we attack. So it's going to be obvious that we're up to shenanigans here. But I just don't want our Graveyard Trespasser getting blocked by like Shipwreck Sifter, Falcon Abomination, and then the Festival Crasher not coming in for full damage. Like that all kind of sucks, right? So I think I at least want to pick up the spell here, protect our Graveyard Trespasser. He's stopped being aggressive, so I'm not as worried about his tokens anymore. But I think this is the way about it. We can level it here a little bit to where he knows what our, what we're capable of doing and what the blockers and blocks look like. I think this is good. Because at the end of the day, if he's like, well, I can't block any of this stuff real good because he's got this play with fire, and then we just get to burn his Scab Wrangler. Like I think that's a win as well. I can't block his stuff real good. That's what that's what opponent sounds like. In case you're wondering what they sounded like. Okay. Triple blocks, sure. So, I mean, this is a pretty safe space to just leave him with the Shipwreck Sifters. We don't have to play the spell this turn. I think that's good. So he's going to take... He tapped our Foragers. He's going to take 2, 3. I think at this stage, like, with the way we order the blockers, I want to just kill his 2 flyers. I want to play with fire the Scab Wrangler. And then we'll get the bonus damage in with the Festival Crashers. He'll only have the Shipwreck Sifters behind then. I like it. But I want to play with fire now just to get this Wrangler off of the board and get the additional damages in. Okay. So we hit him for 5. He loses 2 units. He only has the Shipwreck Sifters on board. Now. Looks good. Okay. All right, got him to 5. It's a midnight rage, whatever the midnight lightning bolt is called would have been lethal. Not gonna happen here. So if we attack with everything, that just doesn't seem that good anymore. It does force him to put his brutal Cathar in the line of duty. I think this actually does seem better. Like say we attack with everything. If he wants to he can say like block Festival Crasher with Brutal Cathar, then say block Shady Traveler with the Sifters and the Scab Wrangler, and we get to kill the Wrangler. I just say at the end of the day, he's either taking damage, or we're killing off the Cathar, or we're killing off the Scab Wrangler. All of which I think sounds good. We got him so low, we just need to chunk this damage in now. Oh, he's going to tap with the Wrangler. That makes sense. But our Shady Traveler will still be a good attack in that case, right? If he wants to block the Traveler, he has to block it with Cathar and the Sifters, then we get to tap. Interesting. I think this is the way to do it. If we attack with both units, he can either double block the Traveler and take 2, or he can... it's just like he's just going to probably take the same amount of damage either way. I think if we attack with the Elementalist, he just blocks it with the Sifters and just doesn't block with the Scab. And I would assume he has 3 spells in hand. He was hurting for dudes earlier. The Perforator. So how do we feel about attacks here? They seem much worse. I don't like it. Let's just add the Perforator. too much opportunity for him to gain a bunch of life. We can't punch through any damage. I don't like it, I say. Almost missed our Alchemist. It's a matter of time before we miss the activation on this Alchemist. Okay, well, assuming not too much changes here, we can lethal next turn. If we hit for a point of Alchemist damage here, then attack with the Perforator and pop face with the Alchemist again, we can potentially get him. I just don't. Our big worry here is him gaining life off this Luminous Phantom, which I guess he can do. He can attack with these tokens. I don't want to highlight it just in case he might see it and and come to realize he can gain some health here, but we'll look at it post-combat. Another creature you control leaves the battlefield. Okay, so he had the potential to gain 3 health there and didn't take it. Oh, we can hit our Perforator now, though. That sucks. He has to hit our Perforator. We can respond. If he wants to take our Alchemist, we can respond by dealing a point of damage and then attack with the Perforator. Okay. Instant. That'll do it. Oof, that's a close one. The value of Thermo-Alchemist. I assure you, he's a good bro. He can't attack, but he's a solid bro out here. All right, next battle. Oof. But yeah, if opponent had picked up a land a little bit earlier, we might be singing a different story there. They stalled on 4 land for quite a bit when it seemed like they had multiple 5s in their hand. All right, this looks like a keeper as well. Come on, bro. Got some kitty assistance now. Top-notch kitty out here looking to help. All right, well, the veterans shut down our Perforators, so I think we're stuck playing Interloper. Everything shuts down the Perforators. It's not cool, is it, bud? That's not cool. Ew. He attacks, what do we do? Are we willing to trade the Festival Crasher for a Flare of Faith? At this point, I think we have to be okay with it. It keeps him from adding more units to the board. That one's significantly more gross. Could not have been a worse option here. Then we just miss. Okay. We're hurting this game. Let's just go ahead and take down the token off of the board. He might ignore it and just try to aggro us back. But I think we need to just be getting in where we can. Like, I feel like we have to spend all of our mana every turn, or we'll just never recover. We can't have one of these turns to where we A, do nothing, or B, we just add like a play with fire. Well, I guess we technically have to spend all of our mana here. Yes. Spend everything. See, these are these games where I don't know if it just is what it is in the world of Magic, or if we should just be playing the 17th land. I mean, what, we're 11 cards deep and we've drawn 2. There's the third one. Yeah, Maybe we can do something. We can get some drains off of this trespasser, and then get some surprise damage in with the lunar frenzy. One can dream. Okay. Wow. That's some serious organ hoarding. So now he just gets to gain 2 life off of any dead unit as well. That's a beat. Got one of said unit. Got a drain. We're just kind of stuck with the Lunar Frenzy now, though. I think we can do it for 1 additional damage. Or do we want to just do the first strike and then play the Brimstone Vandal? Probably rather just play the Vandal. Alright, well, we're catching back up. Catching up with the ketchup. Gonna get another drain out of this Trespasser. Can potentially Ardent Elementalist back our Lunar Frenzy. We got some options. That's not delightful. Everybody's got a Scab Wrangler today. Alright, so we have the tools to magically win this game. Let's go to combat and see what he taps. I think this is going to be an Ardent Elementalist turn. Well, 2, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So if he no blocks, we're at lethal. So we have 2 options here, right? I think we need to attack with these 2. He can tap at end of turn, and that'll cover off 1 unit, but then he can't lethal us. Then if he puts a block in front of our Trespasser, we can Stolen Vitality Perforator. And then if he doesn't, we can still just add our 3rd unit here this turn. Okay. Play with Fire has the additional reach potential to go face and blow him up. You had 2 cards, are we just dead? Yeah, we're just dead. Maybe he'll do something dumb. Nope. Dang, we were so close to getting out of that one. So close. I mean, we could have chose to not attack with the... Come on, bud. Man, we just didn't have any good attacks if we didn't get our guys in there. Like, we have to attack with the Interloper. He can't block, so it doesn't matter. And then he has the 2/3s on board, so we have a struggle with attacking into his board. But I think maybe that would have been the choice. So, well, we would have been left with 1 unit behind at the end of the day either. No. Maybe that was it. We should have attacked with a smaller unit. Hopefully he blocks with the 2/3. We trample over it for 2 damage. Takes him to 8. Then we can try to finish the next turn. He can't tap our 3/3 because unless he wants to discard a card. We can still tap it, but I don't know. I'm not really seeing it there. Are you seeing it, bud? Are you seeing the win? Alright. What do we got here? It's a lot of big cards. I mean, can't play the slashes on the cheap, but I think this is a fine keep. Make big tempo plays with these Festival Crashers. So how do we feel about this? Like, if we attack and he blocks, do we play a card? Is the question. Because I'd rather just kind of like get the Alchemist down. This isn't like a super high valued target in terms of killing off at this point. I kind of want to, if we get a mana next turn, I kind of want to be able to play both the Alchemist and the Stolen Vitality. I think this is okay. Feels a little greedy, like it's not a super high valued unit for us to be taking down. Right, I think we have to switch to the Alchemist now. If we can't spend all of our mana getting these on the board, we're just gonna have to slow this down. We need to be getting like double value out of these spells. Okay, we'll take it. I want to be able to respond to a Flare of Faith if that's what he's trying to do to us here. Geist Wave. Okay. Oh, this is going to be another brutal one where we just don't have the mana to do anything. I don't know. It's so hard for me to tell if the one land really makes a difference or not. But this has just like completely been the story of the day today. It's just getting annihilated because of our mana. Oop. I'll block this time. There's nothing for one blue that matters. Okay. I mean, I don't know. I just don't know anymore. I mean, it doesn't seem like the one land makes like that much of a difference, and then having the best of one algorithm give you the option for additional land. It seems like it's just like this has been the complete story of my day to day. I've lost tons and tons of games today simply just because of our resources being so screwed up. Well, I think I'm good to just get the perforators down now, though. If he's not gonna spend his mana on anything, it feels like this is probably gonna be like the 3/3 Flying Flash. I'm fine to just pass it. We'll try to Moonrager slash next turn if that's what looks to be a thing, and then if we're piecing ourselves together a turn to where we can just like go face and Moonrager slash him out, I'm okay with that as well. Okay. Okay. That's a must-answer unit. This is going to be a bit of a shitty turn. He's able to probably double strike the Stormrider Spirit, would be my guess. Goes for the Morning Patrol, so he doesn't attack with his flyer. It's fair. Alright, so what do we see ourselves doing this turn? Again, it's like it's a bit of a disaster if he gets to flip the farmhand and start hitting for damage. So I'm just gonna no attack at this turn and pass. Gotta try to build up a turn to where we can send everybody in. He's running into the problem now where he wants to flip the farmhand, but he loses his coven if he does it. So it looks like he's figured out how to do it. Are you gonna put it on your farmhand? I don't want to just get ravaged by a Flare of Faith here. I feel okay popping the farmhand with a slash here. And then we can potentially attack next turn. We need to get this like other slash onto the Dualcraft Trainer, but sure. That potentially lets us attack. Feels like we're getting really close to being in, being in like, hey, let's pop him with the slash range. Did we really do that so poorly? Oh my god, did we not do this at the end of his turn? We did that in his second main phase? And then did we miss an Alchemist? Oh my god. I'm losing it. Is that what happened there? I thought we were in his end step. Like, fuck me. I think I missed the point of damage amongst all the confusion as well. Insane. Alright, well, I mean, we're going to have to spend the slash on the farmhand again. So, I mean, I think we can do this. This should be scary enough to where he'll want to block it with something. Okay. Hours. Okay, so he's lost his Coven now. He needs another card to get the mana going, or to get the double strike going. Should be somewhat challenging to find a non-2 or 3. Are you fucking kidding me? Oh my god. What a game. Okay, bud. Alright, well, I mean, I guess we might have a potential out in a lunar whatever. We can get in the 2 damage with the Perforators, 2 damage with the Thermo-Alchemist. That's about right. That's about right. Oh, what a fucking frustrating adventure. Alrighty, well, I guess that's going to do it for that game. But, yeah, like, ultimately, I don't know at this point if I've just, like, super low-rolled today. Like, I can pull up the decks. I don't know, like, how much difference it really makes. But, like, over the course of, like, the drafts I've done today, I had this, like, completely ridiculous green-white deck to where we hit, like, all of the good white uncommons in pack 1. It's like we had the farmhand, the 3/3 that draws cards. We had one other one. I can't remember what the other one is. And then we picked up the Coven dude that, like, +3/+3 is your guys. And then we opened Sigarda. Like, it was a completely nuts game. And then I know I lost one game on the back of, like, drawing all planes and can't play half of my hand, and then it just devolves to the space to where you can't play any more cards. And then I know I lost another game where I kept a 4-lander and then drew three lands in a row. You just never win those games either. And so it was kind of like a downside, but whatever. And then so the next one, I had this, like, really choice Boros draft as to where we started with, like, a premier white card. We took the Boros rare second. It's early, you can do that. And then things worked out. We picked up a Moonrager Slash along the way and had some good cards. And then in pack 2, we picked up the Boros unit that has haste and trample. And then the next pack also had one, and we felt like we could wheel it, and then we did. So we had, like, the rare, the 2 trample guys. I know we had a play with fire, 3 Moonrager Slashes, a choice curve. And then in pack 3, we did the same thing. We opened a Sacred Fire. We knew that we could wheel it because it happened in the previous pack, and we just had this completely nutsos deck. And I know in my last 2 losses in that one, I drew 2 land on both of them, and one of them was, like, the first game of Limited where I've had to discard cards in my hand. And, like, in a ridiculous amount of time. And then in here we just run into this again. We completely stall on 2 mana, and then the next game we stall on 3. And so I have trouble. I don't know if this is just like recency biased, where today has just been a shitty day, or if this is just kind of like what we get for playing 16 land unlimited. But I mean, these are decks to where like the curve stops at 4. Like if you can pick up 3 land, it's pretty okay. I know you can run into issues with like gold cards and having like a double mountain draw and you're only playing 8 planes and stuff, but I really don't know if it's just been like a super low roll today, or if we're messing up with these land, and we do need to be in the mindset to where these normal aggressive decks just play 17, and then our slower, dirtily blue-black decks actually just play 18. And because I have like pretty consistently been playing 8 or 17 land in the decks that have ways to spend the mana late. So if we're playing like green white and we have the dude that spends 6 mana to +3/+3 something, or if we have the hounds that put out +1/+1 counters, and then maybe have like the red wolf that makes things unblockable. Sure, I'll play 17 land, but in decks like this, to where the extent of our late game is, Lunar Rush, I haven't really felt the need to play more land than that, but I don't know if that's leading into us having these draws to where we just stall way too often. It has been brutal. Like, I know I am like by no means a perfect player or even one of the top players, but like having like 6 or 7 games across the course of like 10 or 11 games just get completely annihilated because of resources is pretty brutal. So I'm definitely calling it a day there today. We can get it pulled up on the site on the Untapped and talk about it a little bit more. Yeah, here was this Boros deck that I can pull up these decks that I was talking about a little bit. How do I get here? Click on Bust, switch to Limited, go to these. Yeah, this was the Sigarda deck, like the 4 Candlegrove Witches with the Cathar Commando, Ambitious Farmhand, just like really nice 2-drops. We have the Gavany Dawnguard, the Dawnheart Mentor, Hound Tamer, really high quality 2s. Like, let's see, we've got the Dawnheart Wardens, Dualcraft Trainer, Sigarda. The deck has its weaknesses in that the removal isn't good. That's why we're playing 2 Duel for Dominances. The Might of the Old Ways were our combat tricks. We didn't find any Flare Faiths, but this is a deck that should like very easily push like 4 and 5 wins, and then on a bad day, and on a relatively normal day, we hit 7. We just got completely annihilated by our mana. Then on our next one, we ran into this Boros deck. It was really sweet. Let's see if I can figure out how to get back to it. Where are we at? Oh, we got to go here. Limited. Boros deck, much of the very same stuff. Had a lot of good conversation in here about what to do if you don't fall into the Festival Crasher deck. But this was another, I thought really good one. We had all of these high-powered Boros cards between 2 Cavaliers and Rim. We had the Sacred Fire, 3 Moonrager Slashes along with a Play with Fire, and then just a really good early game aggressive curve with like the Thermo-Alchemist. As you could see, we pulled off a lot with him that game. And then very much the same deal as to where these last two games were completely abysmal. It drew the total of 4 land across the 2 games, and pretty sure both of them were mulligans as well. So that's just the way the way has gone for me today. It's been pretty brutal. So I mean, we can pull up the black-red deck again. I think this. I mean, it turned out okay. This isn't like the most ridiculously powerful thing we're ever going to come across, but this definitely felt like it had the strength and the power to push into like 5 and 6 wins and not be something that stalls out on like 3 or 4, whatever we got stuck with here. And so I don't know. Maybe these are like what we need to like reframe our way of thinking as like as we're up here just playing against people consistently in Mythic that a 57% win rate isn't that bad, as to where we went 4 and 3, we had a positive win rate, and maybe that's just what we have to accept as good, right? once you get up to the top tiers, having a positive win rate is more and more challenging to do. Maybe we have to be happy with more wins than losses, but it's been a pretty frustrating day. But nonetheless, I mean, this deck, I thought it turned out reasonably well. We did get shut down quite a bit on our Falconwrath Perforators. That's going to happen, and it's kind of annoying. Like, you'll run into the Larder Zombie. However, we got blown out by that that combat trick that gives +3 or +2 +0 and puts the token on the board. Like, whatever. Some of these games were just whatever. We ran into a lot of stuff that was just very anti what we're doing, but we were still in it when the games were real. And so I still think that this was okay with the perforators. I do concede that this isn't a super strong unit. You really want to be out here with the likes of Festival Crashers and Vampire Interlopers. The Interloper being your flyer, gets in for tons of damage, and then the Festival Crasher, just again, a big time combo card. He does play better in blue-white, or red-blue. He does play better in red-white, but he is fine here. The big card with the Festival Crashers is the Stolen Vitality. The 4 health on him is usually good enough to just take down whatever blocks it. Very, very powerful dude. The other big things with him, you want to be able to give it trample. The Lunar Frenzy, another great way to do that. So it was a little unfortunate in the sense of our Festival Crashers not being, having the cheap spells to really ramp them up. There's no startles to make him bonkers. There's no, none of the white card that flashes back with the +1/+1 counters to really amp him up, but I think he was still good enough here. You could see our opponents really giving him respect and really being careful with the Crasher running around. But otherwise, yeah, I mean, just be aggressive. Pick and choose your spots to switch to burn mode with the Thermo-Alchemist, and try to take him down with a big trample at the end of the game. That's what the game plan was here. I think it's easier to see as we talk about in the draft. I think the way that we should have looked at this. I liked how we started here. Graveyard Trespasser is a fantastic card. We took note of the Grizzly Ghoul as a potential wheel into green-black. We aren't passing anything particularly good. I could see an argument for taking a Seize the Storm, but it is nowhere near as good as the Trespasser. The Trespasser is incredibly strong in literally every deck in the game. One of the premier black rares. In Pack 2, I see a lot of arguments for things you can do here. I don't like Covert Cut Purse. Again, I don't think this card is any good. So if we're not taking Covert Cut Purse, we have 3 options. We can take Lunar Frenzy, which is quite good, but that would point us towards black-red, which is not one of the stronger archetypes in the format. There's the Sunrise Cavalier, which tries to lock us into Boros. We probably have to give up on our Graveyard Trespasser at that point. Or there is the Crawl from the Cellar. I feel like this is the only card contesting these other 2. If you do want to, stay on track and take an additional black card, I think Crawl from the Cellar is it. I can see an argument for the Cut Purse, but I have just had little to no success with this thing. And so I really don't like it unless we have a lot of self-mill things going on. And so I could see an argument for Crawl from the Cellar. I will ardently defend the Lunar Frenzy over something like Covert Cut Purse. And so that's fine. We might even abandon black, and if we end up in any red deck, Lunar Frenzy is okay. So this is something that we do here. I have big respect for the Festival Crasher. I think this is a incredibly powerful and strong card. I think where we might have, kind of gotten ourselves off track was we maybe should have looked to red-white. Maybe we should have looked to red-blue as we picked up like the 3 Festival Crashers. I'm completely content with being in the Festival Crasher deck, but I think we might have locked in too hard to red-black simply because of the Graveyard Trespasser. I think this Overwhelmed Archivist even wheeled, but these packs are a struggle, right? I can definitely see your choice here just being Overwhelmed Archivist. It is the strongest card in the pack. And then just looking to say maybe we're just a blue-black deck from this point forward, or just picking the ultimately stronger cards. But there's so much synergy between Festival Crasher and Lunar Frenzy. I feel pretty okay with this, but I definitely know a lot of people will disagree with this pack. But moving on, I think the Eaten Alive was okay. Just one of the premier removal spells of the format. If you had been dipping your toes into blue, you'd probably be looking towards the Covetous Castaway here. But none of these cards are strong enough to be okay, well, I'm going to abandon some of the stuff we're doing. I think we can safely abandon the Festival Crasher Lunar Frenzy, but the Eaten Alive gives us a huge incentive to play black with the premier removal along with the premier rare card. So here we find our second Festival Crasher. I'm pretty okay to jump in at this point. This strategy is pretty strong. If we didn't have the Lunar Frenzy, I would see a pretty good argument for not jumping into the deck. But I think the mindset we need to get into at this space is we're playing a Festival Crasher deck, and we don't necessarily have to play these black cards, right? I think Festival Crasher plays fantastically with blue, with Startles, and the tempo cards, the bounce spells, plays fantastically with white, with the +1/+1 card plays fantastically with oh, that's it. We need to stop at blue and white, right? Right. It's okay with black. It's okay with green, but those are the places that I think we need to be looking towards and being like closer and closer to abandoning black. But it's like we don't really see the cards along the way here that make us want to change course, right? Like I don't care about Famished Foragers. I don't like Silver Bolts. There's no blue cards. There's no white cards that play well in that deck. I think the Sentry's fine. We're still keeping in our head that Grizzly may table. And so I think this pick is okay. On to the next one. We have the good black cards. That's what it looks like we're doing here. Do we really abandon the Interloper to pick up a Flare of Faith? I think that's kind of sketch. I'm not really into that. And then the things kind of continue on this way. It is a second Flare of Faith. It is kind of indicative of white being open, but these aren't really good white cards. The Shipwreck Sifters doesn't play in anything we're doing. I think this is continuing on okay. And then Stolen Vitality is a super easy take with the Crashers. I mean, I think we drafted this fine. I mean, not taking Locked in the Cemetery. There's a Clarion Cathars to kind of indicate white, but man, I think that was fine. And Impact 2 was where things got scary. We opened Lisa, but can't take it. I still think this is okay. I mean, Moonrager Slash is a premier card. There's nothing that makes us want to be in blue-red. There's nothing that makes us want to be in red-white. I think the Slash is good. Yeah, I mean, I think we handled this pretty well. I would have preferred to have had the Midnight Ambush over the Eaten Alive at the end of the day. We talked about this pick a bit. The Eaten Alive we ended up cutting one copy of because we didn't have any cards to sacrifice to it. So we would have rather had that Midnight Ambush there. We did get, kind of low rolly not having these Neonight's Ambushes wheel, but another Moonrager Slash is nothing to complain about. The red is flowing to us with the Alchemist. I think this was... we drafted this pretty well, all things considered. Brimstone Vandals we like. We're getting Perforators. We're not passing on like Startles and good white cards. I think we handled this reasonably, and so I think at the end of the day, we need to kind of change our mindset. We did have a positive outcome. We just get so used to having tons and tons of 7 winners in Expedition, and maybe that's just not realistically possible here. Maybe we could have pushed this deck to like 5 if we'd rolled better, but having a positive win rate is something that hopefully we're just happy and accepting of. But all right, well, let's take a look. I think we have a couple of packs to click on here after doing this. They're unfortunately going to be into the less exciting packs for the reward lovers out there. We have completed all of the rares in the set, and so we are seeing some of those just gem packs show up. Yeah, gem pack. So anytime we would open a rare, we just have a gem pack showing our way. Gem pack. Alrighty, what do we got in this last one? I bet it's a gem pack. It is. All right, we got the gems. Looks like we have some kind of vault up here. Go us. And maybe we'll look to push into a bit more constructed. As you can see, our wild card count is looking pretty good now. I've at least been pretty happy with how we managed this here, right? I put the initial $100 on here with no idea what I was really getting myself into. We made it through a month or so before kind of like bottoming out. I did rebuy over like a week ago or so. We're still sitting at, pretty close to whatever the initial buy-in is. And now we're getting kind of like the bonus gems out of our drafts. It seems like we should be able to carry on for like this kind of like $100 a set. But we'll see if that kind of continues and how that sticks up. I feel like this has been a reasonable amount of value. I think we would have gotten there a lot quicker as well if we had a previous collection and we were spending these wild cards on cards that we needed out of the new set. So pretty cool. This has been a pretty not expensive way to jump into this. At least it's not as expensive in terms of how expensive Magic can be. But yeah, that is going to do it for us today. I hope you all, accepted the saltiness and soaked in some of it as well. Take some of it from me, take it into you, spread the salt out everywhere. You may be learned a thing or two along the way and had a good time watching. This is Bust, and we thank you for being here.